professional face on.
Nobody ain't got time for that shit.
Yeah, nobody got time for that. Anybody know what? You know what time it is. Apparently, I don't know what time it is, and I'm confused. And hey there, beer tubers. Welcome back to Beer Analysis 101. And I'm sorry for the confusion over the time starting here. We're working on having like a special holiday season double header here so that we could have Don's choice, but we ended up having to rearrange things at the last minute because Don couldn't make it. So yeah, tonight we're live on Beer Analysis 101. We're going to do something from the UK. Thank you, Lee, for sending this to me, by the way. We're going to do Fuller's Vintage Ale. Anyway, to introduce the panel first, let's start off with the always last, or usually last, but certainly not least, Ashley Sexton. How you doing tonight?
Cheers. I'm doing great. I feel so this is amazing. I'm like first on the list.
Yeah, because you changed your name.
I changed my name, motherfuckers. What's going on?
Best thing you've ever done.
Shut your filthy mouth.
So you can
Merry
go
Christmas.
first on Beer. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, motherfuckers.
Anyway, speaking about moving along, let's go over to Lee. How you doing tonight, Lee?
I'm all the way live, baby. Merry Yule to all of you motherfuckers. I'm blessed in being a blessing on this panel, and let's see how it goes.
Merry Festivus. Festivus to the rest of us. Something like that. Don't ever quote Seinfeld, I know. Sorry. Yeah. All right. And another person I'm actually glad that I was able to make it. Craig. Craig at Kent Beer Reviews. How are you doing tonight? As soon as you get your mic unmuted.
Not too bad. Just not sure how loud I can be because everything echoes. It's like everything's a stone floor, and it's like, yeah.
Well, yeah, keep your
pain
voice
in the
down.
arse, one in the morning. So.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, keep your voice down, but we can hear you loud and clear. So you should be good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Cool.
All right.
They brought this out, of course. So, yeah. Just, obviously, it's not out here in Madeira, so it's, yeah. Cool
So, yeah, you're in Madeira, Spain right at the moment. You're on your family vacation, right?
Yeah, it's sort of west of, about, 600 miles west of Portugal, something like that, in the Atlantic.
Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with the landscape of Spain. Other than I do know what Portugal is.
Yeah, it's sort of northwest of the Canary Islands.
Okay. Well, what is it like? Basque Country or something like that?
Sorry?
Is it like Basque Country or something like that?
No, it's an island.
You're on an island. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Moving right along to someone who's on the 10th.
Hello.
Hello, Chris. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. Thank you for having me today. I am really excited to try a Fuller's Vintage Ale for the first time. Spoiler alert. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Right on. And moving along over to, of course, Mr. Greg B. How you doing tonight? I know you're excited to try this with your sex glove water.
I am. I'm drinking this delicious water, which is tapped from some questionable sources, but hey.
Quebec?
Exactly. Guy lives there. But you know what? It works better than pickle juice to cleanse my palate. It's great. Frankly, I have nothing more interesting to say because I followed Ashley Sexton, and I know how he often feels following me. It's hard following greatness. So I got nothing else to say. So goodbye.
Just because you're coming in the rear now? All right. Moving right along to the beer history. I hope everybody's got their listening ears on because gather around, kids. We're telling the story of how Fuller's began. All right, so Fuller's Vintage Ale. The story of Fuller's begins with the original Griffin Brewery in Chiswick, which is today the Chiswick district on London's west side. In the 1600s, it was common for large households to contain their own brewery. One such household was the Bedford House on Chiswick Mall. Around 1780, the brewery in Bedford House was owned by the duo of John Thompson and David Roberts. But this partnership suffered from various legal issues, and by 1786, the relationship had fallen apart. Roberts left to join the royal household, and Thompson ran the brewery on his own. In 1816, the brewery passed to his sons, Douglas and Henry Thompson. Around this time, Griffin, which had previously been the symbol of a nearby Mew and Reed's brewery on Liquor Pond Street, when that brewery closed, the Thompson brothers quickly adopted the Griffin name and emblem for their brewery, becoming the Griffin Brewery, which You might read the small print on one of these bottles. Business had thrived and enjoyed expansion throughout the early 19th century, but by 1829, money problems had forced the Thompson brothers to seek a partnership. They turned first to Philip Wood, brother of London's then Lord Mayor, but even he knew that his money alone would not be enough to save the brewery. So they approached John Fuller, a wealthy country gentleman from Neston Park in Wiltshire, who jumped at the chance to inject money into the brewery. Seeing it as an opportunity for investment for his son, John Bird Fuller, he soon bought out one of the brothers and within a couple of years owned a majority share in the brewery. This relationship with the brothers turned rocky, however, and following John Fuller's death in 1839 and Douglas Thompson fleeing to France in 1941, I don't know why. The partnership was dissolved by 1845, leaving John Bird, a man without any brewing experience, with a brewery to run. Seeking the experience and expertise needed to run the brewery, Fuller was joined by John Smith from the Romford Brewery, his son Henry Smith, and their son-in-law John Turner. Fuller, Smith, and Turner, still the current name of the brewery, was born. Though the descendants of John Bird would choose not to stay with the brewing tradition, the descendants of Henry Smith and John Turner would continue to run the brewery today. Previously, the Griffin Brewery brewed only ale and hock, the type of dark mild ale. Under Smith and Turner, Fuller's began branching out to other styles, among them brewing a special beer called HK, or Hopped and Keepable. Over the next century, Fuller's introduced more beers: Chiswick Bitter in 1930, London Pride in the 1950s, their famous ESB in 1971, and a beer to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Fuller's in 1995, the 1845 Strong Ale. Other beers from Fuller's include the aforementioned London Pride, Chiswick Bitter, ESB in 1845. They also make an Imperial Stout, the Organic Honeydew, the London Porter, which is a classic porter, Golden Pride. They make a Frontier Craft Lager, Bengal Lancer, Black Cab Stout, which sounds good. They also have a Brewer's Reserve series of oak-aged beers, as well as a Past Master series of brewed from old recipes from their history. Those latter two, you can still buy bottles of those on their website, but they're expensive. But speaking of expensive beers over time, Fuller's Vintage Ale, what we're doing tonight, is a 8.5% ABV English Old Ale, brewed with all-natural UK-sourced malting barley, as well as a blend of hops that varies year on year. First brewed in 1997, the Vintage Ale has been brewed every year as a limited numbered edition for the holiday season, and it's now in its 22nd year. For 2018's Vintage Ale, it is brewed with Alicana hops, as well as Ernest, Target, Goldings, Challenger, and Northdown hops, as well as Maris Otter and Crystal Malt. Fuller's Vintage Ale has an unusually long shelf life and can be cellared for decades, with bottles as far back as even the 1997 Vintage Ale in drinkable condition, as well as highly sought after. Yeah, like for example, I've actually got other bottles sitting next to me. I've got a 2016, I've got a 2014, and a 2013, all of which you can still buy off of Fuller's website. And the 2016 and 2014 and of the years between, you can usually buy the relatively newer ones for was it 17.50 pounds or something, 17 quid 50 pence or whatever it is. But the 2013 and older, they kind of go up to like 100 pounds or more. So that, needless to say, I'm going to be saving this specific one for a while. Anyway, moving right along, let's go over to the comments section to see if we have anybody other than Ewart who's chatting. I don't actually think we have anybody other than Ewart.
No, it's just Ewart. He says, so exciting. Sepia Craig, RIP. He says he loves Spain Island, northwest of Canaries. Holy fuck. Where the heck is that? Then he says, God damn it, Nick. Watching Nick read the teleprompter is glorious. The best of beer tube. And then Rating on Your Parade says, oh shit, I did not know I can cellar like that. Wow. Yeah, you can go decades on this one, dude.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing how long you can cellar this damn thing for. It's just like before we went live, we were talking about another beer that Terry K, Beer Goggles, he had done. I forget what it was called, but it was like some beer that was brewed in 1980 or 81 to celebrate the birth of the first child of Prince Charles and Diana.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's kind of, I mean, this is essentially barley wine in style. So or old ale, whichever sort of classification you want to go for. So it's right up there with something like a Thomas Hardy is the sort of style of beer where you can let it sit in your cellar for decades and it'll still be good. It'll change. Where the actual cutoff point, I don't know, is, because this is a relatively new beer. I mean, 1997 is when the line started. So, I mean, you've got to give it a couple decades first to see really where the sort of cutoff line is for quality, I think. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, really, if they're still drinking bottles of 1997, then there's no telling how old something like this can get. Anyway, yeah, let's go into the beer history. I guess we could include Fuller's in general too as well. Let's go over to Mr. Ashley Sexton and say, what's your history with this beer?
With this beer specifically, shamefully, never. This is my first time. I'm a noob to this one. Sorry. To Fuller's product, and I've had their regular offerings that hit the shelves here. The London Porter, the ESB. I think I had their. Oh no, I'm thinking of another one. What else have I had? I don't know. Just a handful of their stuff, but yeah, this is my first time with the vintage ale, so I'm quite excited to taste this. Yeah, that's it. Nothing exciting. Sorry.
Great. Very nice. All right, Lee, what's your history?
For me, Fuller's is one of my all-time favorite breweries. I've been getting Fuller's products since probably my late teens to early 20s, sometime around there, where we got a big influx in the NSLC of like international stuff and some craft brews and things like that. Back then when it was only like a 2 feet by like 4 foot tall shelf or something like that, with just a shitty little selection, but it was like, wow, amazing. Like, look at all these new beers. It's like something that tastes different than fucking Moosehead and Keith's and shit, right? So yeah, I'm like, I can't even get any Fuller's anymore except for this fucking beer now, which is really depressing. I mean, if I could get this year round, I'd be happy. But I used to be able to get the ESB and the London Porter and the London Pride, Organic Honeydew. Used to be able to get all those ones all the time. Can't get them anymore, so that depresses me a lot. But first one of these I had was 2011. I think since then I've had a 2015. I have 2 2017s in the cellar, which I'm doing my current cellaring project on. That's a 5-year project, so I'm still like a year and a half away from opening my my first bottle on the project to determine how it cellars. And the 2018 got this one, so it's one I look forward to. It like you said, it varies over years. I wasn't too impressed with the couple from the last couple years. I kind of found them very just disappointing, and ones I didn't even want to invest in on like cellaring for a while to see if they got any better. But this one's different, and we'll get into that with the review. But that's sort of my not quite abbreviated, maybe a little too long history on Fuller's. So there you go.
Nice. All right, Craig, what's your history with Fuller's?
It's probably not until the last sort of 3 or 4 years I've really kind of appreciated Fuller's as a brewery and what they do traditionally, because it was kind of all muddled in with a lot of other traditional English cask beers going back like 10 years ago for me. But then your taste buds change, you go into different kind of beer styles, and especially with the craft beer that's really gone crazy the last sort of, especially in the UK, in the last sort of say 6-7 years, and then go back to Fuller's, you actually realise actually how good the actual brewery is for what they do. And yeah, going back to this beer, I had it on the 22nd of November, I think, reviewed it. I haven't posted the review yet, but I thought wait till after this. But and there's only the second bottle of vintage ale I've ever had. So I've never bought into the vintage ales. I wish I had it done like 10 years ago, but it's the way it goes. But yeah, I've got one or two more at home. Saving one for Paul when he comes over and that sort of thing, you know. But hopefully, if there's any more left in January when I go back home, then I'll grab a few more. So, but yeah, pretty
Nice.
good.
And if you don't mind me asking, I know how much. I'm pretty sure I know how much Lee paid, or close to how much Lee paid for these, and they're kind of like $10 or something close to that over here, I think. But how much are they over in the UK?
They're £6 in Waitrose, a supermarket chain called Waitrose in the UK.
Okay.
So even with
I think-
like the monetary difference, that's still cheaper than what we pay, I think.
Right, yeah. I think the Imperial Stout's £8. It's actually more expensive than this. So I don't know if that's the same over there or what.
That's probably a little bit closer, but I think the Imperial Stout is actually, I seem to recall I paid a little bit more than what I'd pay for the vintage ale. I think that was like $11 or something like that.
Right, yeah. It's
Don't
£2
quote me
more,
on
so,
that, though.
yeah, so one of those at home as well. A crack into at some point.
Nice. All right, Chris.
I am, as Ashley is, a virgin to this beer. I've never had it, and this is my first time drinking this beer. I'm not going to tell you what I think of it yet, but this is the first time, and I'm actually I'm glad I got to pop my cherry on this beer. That's all I'm going to say. That one. And in Fuller's in general, I know I've had Fuller's before untapping, but I just checked my Untapped and I can't find anything that I've untapped from Fuller's. But I'm pretty sure I've had their the porter and I can't remember the other one. But yeah, that's my history with Fuller's. It's non-existent, but I've had a couple. That's all I know. Can't remember anymore. I'm old.
All right. And of course, last certainly, well, maybe. I kid him a lot, but Greg, what's your history with this beer?
Well, much like Mr. Ashley and Mr. Chris, I am also a virgin. However, luckily, the three of us have made a pact that we are all going to lose our virginity before prom, and we'll see what kind of hijinks result from that. And I've had Fuller's ESB, and that's the only other product I've had of theirs. So I hope nobody accidentally live streams that girl in my room.
Oh,
American Pie reference.
that would be a very
But
naughty idea. Nadia.
Yeah, they're good one, Nick. That was good.
Nadia.
I like that. Good
No,
one.
what's her name? Shannon something.
Shannon Elizabeth.
Shannon Elizabeth.
I was gonna say Shannon Doherty, but
Yeah,
that's
she
wrong.
was
Shannon.
definitely nice to look at back in the day. Anyway, so getting into my history on Fuller's, yeah, I'm in the same boat with Lee actually when it comes to Fuller's, because maybe not with the same. I don't think I tried as many of the vintage ales as he had, but when like it used to be years ago, like 7, 8 years ago, that we had a huge amount of Fuller's beers here, and I remember. One of my early favorites from Fuller's, and as one of the beers that one of those formative beers when I started like watching beer reviews on YouTube was like drinking a bottle of Fuller's London Porter while watching something from Lee, like his review on it or something. He probably gave it like a 5 out of 5 or some crazy thing, but back in 2008. Anyway, yeah, I really liked the London Porter way back when, and I've also had looking at my reviews. I've posted reviews for the ESB, the Champion Ale. That I really loved that one. I also had the Fuller's London Pride. The Organic Honeydew was a go-to for me for a while. I like picking one of those ones up every once in a while. And I think my all-time favorite Fuller's, except for maybe the vintage ale, is of course the 1845, the strong ale. That is a fantastic beer. My history with this one, on the other hand, I've had, according to my Untapped, I've tapped in the 2014 before, but and I could have sworn that there was at least one more year that I've had. I'm pretty sure I had a bottle of the 2016. I must never have tapped it. and maybe one other, like possibly the 13, but I can't remember. I know that I've got all of these, but it's because I bought them and I never drank them. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure I've had a 14 and a 16 before, and I remember really liking the 14. And then I think I did try the 13 once because Sith had bought a bottle and split it with me. And then actually this bottle of 13 that I've got, this extremely valuable specimen, apparently, I've got, he gave it to me because I didn't get managed to get one that year. I'd originally planned to do like a vertical tasting at some point, and I never did find the 15, so I just sort of gave up on that. Anyway, let's move over. Is there anybody chatting away in the comments? We have any comments?
Yeah, we got a bunch.
Oh,
All
okay,
right.
Bruno's is in there.
So Redbeard's in here. He says, "Hey guys, how's it going, Redbeard?"
Redbeard.
Ethan's beer review says, "Hello, my only friends." Oh, don't be like that. We're not your friends, Ethan. PA Bruno says, "I've had a few bottles of the 2000 vintage. It gets amazingly soft and nuanced with extreme age. 2009 was still my best vintage. I'll be cracking open a 2014 for the new year to continue my tradition of drinking a 5-year aged one every year." That's awesome, Paul.
Oh.
Paul also says 2017 was a total mess because of the new brewmaster taking over. I'm glad they told her to stop fucking up something good since they returned to form with the 2018. He also says John Keening, former brewmaster, said in great interview with James May that the vintage ale hits its peak at 5 years and shouldn't be enjoyed too fresh. He also says in the 2009 vintage, all I can say, orange marmalade, Big Daddy. Orange marmalade, Big Daddy. That's right. Raining on Your Parade says, even more want this beer now. I have had 2 to 3 batches fresh years ago before he was really putting beer away. I thought it was nowhere near the price. Looks like this beer was made to age. Yes, indeed. Not very drinkable fresh. Depends on the vintage. I think we'll get into that when we go into our reviews here, Raining on Your Parade. He also says, would so love to have that 2009 bottle. Paul, I will trade my mom for a bottle of that. Paul says, my fingers are crossed to find more of them, so I'll buy all of them. And he says he's got a deal. She is an anal kink monster, correct? Okay. Radio Princess, just as long as you stock up on air fresheners, you'll be all set. Jesus. Not much of a good opinion of your mother. No wonder she wants to trade her in a beer trade, I guess. Fuck. Okay, well, the beer burglar, we're going to ignore that comment for now.
Rude.
You said anal kink monster. How bad is Greg's comment got to be for you?
Well, he's asking what next week. He's asking what next week's beer is.
It's a very innocent comment. Oh,
it's very premature, Greg.
Greg,
you really don't want to be premature.
I am known for that.
Yeah. Paul also says I have made a high made a high mistake of not buying every 2000 vintage that I found. I could have made a massive profit. And Raining on Your Parade says I've not seen the vintage ale in 15 years. Wow.
Also, I gotta say, Paul would not have made any profit. He would have gotten drunk and drank them all one night, and then did a weird podcast.
Hey, that's a profit as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so that's the end of the comments. Do we want to start moving into our final thoughts?
Let's
start.
All right,
Yeah.
So we'll start off with Mr. Quiet Guy over here, Ashley Sexton.
Mr. Sexton.
First off, I want to know who's microwaving what, and are they going to share?
It's my wife. She's microwaving a magic bag, so there's nothing to really share. It's for your back. But hey, you're welcome to try some if you want.
No, thanks. I don't want your magic bag.
Denied.
I'm not going to tell you try it.
Professionalism, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
I mean, you can share the magic bag. It just depends on where you apply it.
I never thought I'd be the one that would start this down.
Wow.
This terrible.
All right.
You're disgusting, Ashley.
I know.
Way to keep it professional.
I know,
That's
right?
That's it. You're sacked.
I'm like uninvited from here on in. Okay. So just a few notes.
You just keep going, Paul.
Greg is always corrupts everybody. So
this is what happens when you let me go first. I'm like,
Don't blame me for your herpes, Nick.
oh, well, I did sleep in your bed.
Okay.
Oh, that went quiet after saying that. All right, keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm going. So
right.
aroma, some of the notes I'm getting a light citrus / lemon. It's very fresh though and delicate. Like the aromas are not very overpowering whatsoever. I do pick up a slight molasses type residual dark sugar note on the aroma. Visually though, this is a beautiful looking beer. I'm sure you guys can all see, you know, the color's magnificent. Just this nice dark ruby, like not ruby red, but like a reddish caramel, at least in my light, color to it. It looks fantastic. Very smooth carbonation. It's got a soft body to it. The caramel malt sweetness is coming through quite well. Getting some of the hops, you know, I sort of researched their hops a little bit because some of them I wasn't really familiar with. The Olicana variety it's a local UK hop that sort of lends some of those Southern Hemisphere type of notes to it. I'm getting like very soft tropical notes off it, but overall, like the star of the show is just like, you know, it's just the malt body to it. You know, they're you can tell that they're using exceptionally high premium malts to this. Obviously, just from the color, just the taste, the body on it is fantastic. I am getting some burn on, like some alcohol burn. It drinks a lot bigger than it actually is. Like it's 8.5. If I was doing this blind, I probably would have said it was around 10. So to that point, I can totally see how this is a beer that's meant to sort of age and mellow out. Let those, like the malt sort of take away that alcohol astringency, and just sort of, you know, do its thing in the bottle. You know, this is definitely something that I wouldn't have the patience to sit back and age. I'm just not like that. That's just not me. I can't sit on beers for a long time. I'm going to have to rely on other people to do that for me. But I would love to try this one 5 years down the road because I could totally see how this could be an absolutely amazing beer. That said, from a personal enjoyment standpoint, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 for me right now. I'm sure, again, if I were to have this in 5 years, I'm sure the mark would be a little bit higher. I mean, it's still a fantastic beer. And for overall impression, I don't have a lot of experience with old ales, to be completely honest, but I can totally see the road that this is going down. And I can sort of see and sort of taste in my mind what the destination is going to be like. So for an old ale like this, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 for style. So 8 for personal and 9 for style. There you go.
All right. Right on. Lee, what's your thoughts?
Okay, so out of the limited amount of vintage ales I've had fresh, this is the best out of the gate fresh that I've had from the entire lineup. It feels like a complete beer right off the bat that doesn't necessarily need to be aged, but you can, like Ashley's saying, you can see the setup for this beer. You can see what they're thinking going down the line, how this is going to mellow out, and how there's so much actual complexity just fresh in this beer that you get the idea that it's going to hold up to some aging and it's going to do some interesting things. Unfortunately, I did not pick up any extra of these to age. I should have. I'm kicking myself in the ass for it, but I still have the 2017s, and I'm hoping that even though it wasn't great fresh, it will turn into something a couple years down the road. The Olicana hops apparently are sort of like Britain's answer to the Galaxy hops. Is from limited research I've done, is what they're trying to do there, like Galaxy hops and similar hops from the US. So they're looking for that big, bold, tropical kind of flavor. And so you do sort of get that. Like it's a little extra fruity than what you would expect from a British ale. It's a little bit different, but not too different. But then you still have the sort of English hops backing it up. You got that earthiness. It's very malty, very nice, slight medium body to it. Feels like it's going to smooth out and be very creamy in a couple of years. Very well balanced. And I mean, just drinking it fresh, it's very much like a really solid old ale / barley wine. Like it works as that, even with the slight alcohol burn that Ashley's mentioning. That's a characteristic that works fresh with this. That is very good. So since I'm not going to get a chance to try another one of these probably, so I'm not going to like try to hold back my grade for oh, maybe it'll improve in a couple years, so I should, maybe dock at a point and hope for the best. For style, I'm going to give this a solid 9. And for personal enjoyment, I'm going to give this a 10.
Oh.
I think it's fucking excellent. It's one of the best beers I've had all year.
Nice. All right, then. Craig, what do you think?
Well, I had it a couple of 3 weeks ago or so, and it kind of first one of these things, as we said, I've ever had, and it's for the style, it's kind of blown me away. Having obviously drinking a lot of kind of cask beer over here and stuff like that, or the equivalents in bottles. This is like up there. It's just staggering. It's quite well rounded even at this stage, I'd say. There is a little bit of that alcohol, but I tell you what, considering it's 8.5%, and I've had like some English style IPAs in bottles of like 5.5 before, get more alcohol for those than do on this. It's got, there's a slight kind of, everyone's mentioned like the earthiness and maltiness, but the maltiness, it's not malty in a bad way. Some people get confused with that, I think. It's supposed to be like that, obviously. But I'm also getting, there's like a spiciness to it. Perhaps it's along with that earthiness kind of mix. But yeah, it's just so smooth. I mean, it's got that, as Lee and others have said, it's got like a kind of barley wine quality to it. But yeah, I think if you had a few beers during the day and you was lucky enough to have a few of these bottles lying around, you can get them. You could easily do 2 or 3 of these things quite easily. I know Paul would if he was over here, that's for sure. But yeah, it's just one of them beers that it's a real kind of treat. It's not something you can have often, but when you do, you just kick back and enjoy it. It's just staggeringly good, I think. So for me, style and enjoyment, 9.5 out of 10. So that's like 4.5.
Wow. And that's both of them, 9.5 for both?
Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah,
all right.
It's really good.
Yeah. I think you liked it. Chris, what's your thoughts?
I don't like British beer. However,
so we're gonna mute you for now.
No, don't mute me. This is by far the best one I've ever had. I'll tell you right now.
Wow.
This beer, I've never even had any of the other Fullers and any of the other vintage ales at all. And for this being my first one, I'm so glad this is tasting as good as it is. This is all malt for me. It's sweetness, it's caramel. There's a little bit of earthiness. And guess what? I get no burn from this at all. And this is coming from me. I get no alcohol burn from this one. This is 8.5%. It's going down so smooth. Hashtag smooth. Let's bring that back. This is incredible. I can't get over how good this is. And I kind of wish that I had more of these. Now I'm gonna have to go find some more if I can. This is fucking dynamite. I really enjoy this beer. I don't sell or anything because I really don't have the patience for it. If I'm thirsty, I'm fucking gonna drink something anyway. But this, guys, is fantastic in my own opinion. Oh, see what I did there? But anyway, with that being said, guys, I'm fucking blown away by this beer. For style, this is exactly what it's supposed to be, apparently. So as an ale / barley wine, I'm going to give this one 9.5 out of 10 for style. And for my own personal opinion, you know what? I'm going to go find this again. This is 9.5 for me as well. This is awesome. I love this fucking beer. That's all I got to say about that. Thank you.
Nice. All right. Next up, I'm last. Let's go over to Greg. What do you think?
Nick, before I start, I just want to double check. We're doing Fuller's Vintage Ale 2018, right?
Yeah. Why did you buy the wrong bottle?
No, I just wanted to make sure I'm drinking the same beer as you guys because I'm going to Chris Lezak the fuck out of this now.
Go for it.
Here's the thing about this beer. What I can say not good about it. It's got a nice color to it, and it is smooth. I don't get freaking alcohol burn at all. Like this beer to me drinks like it's a fucking 5% beer. And I have nothing really else good to say about it. It's a boring beer. It is earthy, malty, and kind of I get a bit of an ashy taste in my mouth. That's why I'm kind of trying to figure out if I'm drinking the same beer as you guys, because I'm not getting any of this stuff. I mean, I'm not an old ale fan to begin with. There are a few I like that are usually barrel aged, but this isn't really my style of beer. But this one is, it's very meh. I don't really have anything super bad to say about it. There's no bad flavors. I appreciate that it's not overly sweet. Maybe this is a beer that would improve with time, but I get nothing really good about this. I mean, I'll throw out a bone and say a 7 out of 10 for style, just because I don't really like old ales anyway. And for personal enjoyment, it's, again, I'm going to throw out a bone. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, just because I don't really have anything bad per se to say about it. But this is just so boring to me that I would hope this would get better with age, because I never really want to drink this again. This is just such a meh beer for me.
I would hope your palate gets better of age.
I would hope so too. Maybe it'll improve. Maybe once I lose my virginity, my palate will also improve.
I think maybe buy a couple more bottles of this and store it away in the cellar at your parents' place or something. But
I'm tempted to, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I want to give them any more money after this. This is like I don't know. It's like the first time you meet a girl, she has BO. It's kind of like, I wouldn't mind trying again, but do I really want to? I don't know.
Mouth to mouth.
I don't
Anyway,
think that's analogous at all. You fruitcake. Shut him up. Mute him.
that's censorship. Oh, I'm just saying that by the way.
I love how you called him a fruitcake. That's very apropos for the season.
Did you mute himself? All right, so we're getting off into my thoughts here, and I thought that it's got a nice. I thought it was kind of starting off a little bit mild from the start. I didn't really get a lot of aroma. I was smelling more something in the glass or something. At first, I thought it was a little metallic, but it turned just as glass. I had to put it in a different glass. But off the top, I'm getting like a light amount of caramel. A little bit of like a dusty, bready yeast character. Just a very faint aroma. Really not much there. Not much to the aroma other than this nice little bit of a biscuity malt. Getting into the flavors, I'm getting like I think it might have been because Paul said orange marmalade, but I get like a little bit of this orange like marmalade or molasses, a little hint of fruitcake to it. It's a little earthy. There's a touch, a bit of citrus to the very finish. It's not like lingering in the back. It's just like this little bit of tartness that from the citrus, which might have been from the Alacana hops that they used. The carbonation is very fine on it, and as opposed to what other people are saying, I don't think it's got like an alcohol burn into it, and it still drinks deceptively smooth. But I find it is a little bit warming in the back of the throat, which does tell me that it's, a little on the high side of 5%. So it's, I do get that. I do agree that if this was to age for a few more years, I found that the earthy note from whatever other British hops they used in here is something that could be a little bit more refined, a little bit more polished, in the sense that if this was to age a little bit longer, that would be nice and smooth. That it does kind of make it a little rough. But overall, I just find it is a little on the mild side, and I like it. And I'm thinking, like, I didn't put this in the fridge at all. It's been sitting on the cellar shelf, but I think it may have been a little too cold back there, because as I noticed as I'm drinking this throughout the course of this beer analysis, that the thing just keeps getting better and better and better and better as I drink it. There are more and more of the nuanced flavors come out, and it's just at the start it was a little bland. Right now it's drinking somewhat really nice, but I still think it's a little bit on the mild side, and I'm kind of maybe going back to a fuzzy memory of what I remember the 2014 tasting like, and I still like it. But I just thought that before it brought a little bit more orange marmalade and caramel biscuit to the forefront than it did before. But I'm going to have to, I think, maybe crack one of these open and just take a look tonight. just because I want to.
You might want to have to crack 2 or 3 of those open. Isn't that what you're really saying, Nick?
No, I'm not going that crazy.
Isn't that what you're really saying, Nick? Come on now.
Well, I may want the eyes say yes, but the heart says no. Anyway, whatever.
Do it.
Do it. Drain pour all of
I
them.
don't know.
The burps are all awesome.
I'm not cracking my 2013. That's gonna be kept for like a decade, I think.
Yeah.
But
And then you're
I
going
do
to
like
die and somebody's going to drain pour it.
yeah, all right, yeah, they're gonna say, "Oh man, this is from 2013. Dump that."
Oh, this is garbage.
All right.
That
So
beer's
over for the
expired.
style
Please throw it out.
of an old ale, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. And for overall thoughts, I'm gonna give it an 8. Not as bad as what Greg did, but
Yeah, it's not
obviously
No,
on the
I-
low side of
not
the
the
chat.
word
No.
atrocity. It's not fucking Auschwitz like Greg brought to the fucking.
Yeah, no.
Jesus.
Did not do
Hey,
that.
someone has to Klizak things, and Klizak isn't doing his job today. So
Yeah, Klizak actually was like right at the top.
I like this beer.
Yeah, there you go.
you're not supposed to like
Basically-
you're not supposed to like anything over 5%.
No burn. Come on.
Yeah, Chris.
No
Not
burn.
that it matters or anything like that, but what number do you guys have on your bottle? Mine's
Hey, I was going to bring that up.
Mine's 052
I've got a much later bottle than Nick.
Ours are really close together, Nick. Mine's 052062.
Yeah, they're like 8 bottles apart.
Yeah,
Oh wow,
Looks like Ashley's is the oldest.
they were
Yeah,
almost
91.
touching dicks.
Hold on. Ash, what's yours say?
91,120 if I'm reading backwards.
Yeah, mine's 90878.
Oh yeah. So
Mine's
I'm the eldest.
8148.
8148. So everybody else is like in the 8,000s, whereas me and Lee are in the 50,000s.
We're
Really,
super
the,
fresh and we're super awesome. What can I say?
the only difference that it makes is probably like a day or two. Really.
Shut up.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I will shut up. Merry Christmas, motherfucker. I hope
I
a
will
blizzard's right on your house. Just your house.
It'll probably
You have to
happen.
Shovel it.
Oh, that'll happen too.
There we go.
Right.
God. Sorry.
So, are we going to final scores or are we going to comments first? What are we doing?
Go ahead and read the comments. I'm still working on the graphic.
He's working on that.
Okay.
And then it's paint.
I love it.
Let's see. What was the last comment? Okay. Paul says that's why Greg should die. In response to his review, nothing about Greg will ever get better.
Well, Paul needs to stop being a coward and actually come online and say that. Because I agree, maybe I should die, but come tell me that. Don't just hide in the comments, Paul.
Hey, we got an after show. So
Yeah, you're
Yeah, get on here, pussy.
Oh,
Yurt says so. Hashtag smoo. Raining Air Parade says it must be a totally different beer with some age. It has changed. Out of the examples I've had of it, some of them have changed pretty dramatically with age. So, Yurt says, "Fuck cellaring beer. If you can't enjoy it fresh, it's not good enough. Like whiskey, if you have it, shoot it. It's trash. It's not meant to be sipped. Beer is there, but not meant to be aged. You're forgetting the fact that whiskey is pre-aged. You dumb fuck. So shut your fucking mouth.
No, but I think the point is...
If you were drinking new make, you dumb fuck, because you can't age whiskey after it's taken out of the barrel, it no longer ages. It's no longer considered aged. You can't sit like a bottle of 12-year-old Glenlivet in your fucking cellar and I've aged it 18 years. That's not the way it works.
I got
So-
some risers.
No, but they're selling it to you ready to drink. If they choose to age it for 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, 12 years, whatever, they're selling it to you at what they feel is ready to drink. And that's what I feel like. And I'm not saying necessarily Fuller's.
So
Well, okay, I disagree, but that's fine. All I'm saying is that if somebody is saying that you can't enjoy this until it's 5 years old or 10 years old, then that's how Fuller should sell it to you. I'm not saying
nobody's
Fuller's
saying that. Nobody's saying that.
Well,
because
I'm
it's
hearing-
beer's
I'm hearing
fucking
a lot-
awesome fresh.
I'm hearing a lot of people say that, at least. But anyway,
You're
all I'm
outvoted. You're
saying-
wrong. Shut up.
all I'm saying is the second a beer goes on the shelf, therefore you can review it and you should be able to judge it fully. If it ages better, great. But
Yeah, no, that's
once they're willing to take my money for it, that's when I can review that beer.
That's the adventure, but this beer is awesome fresh, so the argument is moot.
Except it's not
And
that
Yurt
good.
says hashtag enough said. Yeah, enough said. Shut the fuck up, Yurt.
All right.
Paul says considering whiskey is aged prior to purchasing. Yes, exactly, Paul. That's pretty funny. Paul knows what I'm saying. Yurt says unique bottle numbering is pretty cool. Paul, can you read? Question mark. Paul says nope. Jesus. Beer burglar. I'm not reading that fucking comment because this is stupid. Yurt says it's all about sipping versus shooting, aging versus cellaring. Fucking hillbilly dumbasses. Love you, mean it. Only shooting, Paul says. Let's see here. Raining and Praise says I would kill Greg for an aged bottle of this. Hey, we
You
can
couldn't kill
arrange a
Greg.
deal, I think.
I'm too slippery. I'm always lubricated. You can't catch me.
Well, maybe if enough of us hold.
I'll send you a bottle.
Paul says I've told you that to your face before, Greg. Come on now. So Lee can't read either. Hey, Murray. Breweries don't have huge drain dunnage buildings. I don't.
Hey, they could have them. They choose not to. That's not our fault.
And then Paul says fight. There you go.
All right.
The fight will be on the after chat if Paul decides to show his coward face.
Right. Anyway, let's move on. Greg, thanks to you, you pulled the ratings right fucking down. That's why Fuller's Vintage Ale right here, as you can see, isn't very happy with you at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And
wow, I would so love it if the 2019 vintage actually had that on the label. That'd be awesome.
I'll be like, yeah, my work here is complete.
That's
Let's go
awesome.
home to my own planet now.
They blame all Gregs. Fuck you, Gregs.
Brilliant.
You know what? That's still a great score considering I kind of tanked it.
Yeah, you did. It's
And
your
I
fault.
was being nice with my score too. So
Like I was worried I'd pull it down from the 9s because I thought it'd be kind of cool for a beer to get into the 9s, but because everybody was giving us like 9, 9.5, 10, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm only going to give it 8.5.
have we ever had something that scored overall in the 9s?
On
either one?
Didn't we score double or Tempest last week really high too?
That scored high, although I think Klizak tanked that one.
No, I never won. I know I
It wasn't
there.
even here. You couldn't-
CBS highs. I thought that was high.
Yeah, see,
I just
Rochefort
assumed
10 was
Yeah,
Rochefort 10 was really high.
Yeah, Rochefort
Yeah.
was high.
stop blaming me for everything, Greg. God damn it.
Yeah, Greg.
I just
This is your fault, Greg.
I blame you for my erectile dysfunction like 12 years ago.
Oh, burn. Get the burn.
And there goes the professionalism again. Right
Yeah.
You-
Everybody just stopped watching this channel all at once.
And we went from 7 viewers to 0. I even turned mine off. And
Dude,
Welcome to Massive
There we go.
Shit Spears.
There we go. Nick's
Oh,
income is
they've done
done.
the ratings. Let's log off. All right. Well, so much for that idea. It was nice having a channel while it lasted. I guess tune in next week. Nobody knows what next week's beer is because we're not doing a beer analysis next week because it's Boxing Day. We might do, if anybody's around, maybe we'll do a hangout on Wednesday night, but I would expect not.
I may want to get blackout drunk, but
Well, if you do, and I'll be on, I'll do a hangout if there's people around.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
are we doing another beer analysis tonight?
I didn't hear anything from Don, so no.
Wall,
Anyway.
wall.
Yeah. So did anybody ask what January 2nd's beer was?
What's January 2nd's beer, Nick?
That was Don's choice. So there you go.
Well, we're gonna ring in the new year with Labatt 50.
I'm gonna bring her in right, bitches.
Yay!
I'm gonna
No.
score it higher than Vintage Ale.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You probably
That's probably going to happen. You fucking piece
Greg's
of
not
shit.
invited.
I got this massive 740 can to drink a Labatt 50.
Oh wow, that's
I
a
picked
big
up.
can.
I bought that in Quebec. I'm like, it's been sitting in the fridge since.
From ale to ale. Great.
740.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm thinking, like, if Don didn't show up tonight, what we'll do is we do want to do Don's choice. We'll do it on January 9th, maybe.
Sure.
And if he doesn't show up, we're just going to do it anyway.
And we're gonna be extra hard on it if Don doesn't show up. So Don, that's your ultimatum. If you don't want your beer to get tanked.
You said hard on.
Yeah, Don, I'm not even going to be on that fucking panels because I can't get the beer. So it's not like you got to be afraid of me like shitting on it because it might end up being crap. So just show up.
Yeah,
It's not like Lee's gonna do a Greg.
All right, so yeah, next 2 weeks beers are going to be either in Labatt 50 and then Don's Choice. So
there you go.
Grab
all right,
little bats, gents.
Start the new year shitty, according to Paul.
Yeah, so
That's
Merry
right.
Christmas, all you fuckers watching. Have a good, Happy New Year and all that bullshit, and we'll see you in the new year.
All right, we're going to go offline.
Don't
Thanks
drink
for
and
watching.
drive. Penises.
Exactly.
Take care.